For every loved SMG4 character, there's another that's generally hated, starting with one of the most despised characters of all time, Depresso the Clown. While he would go on to do some pretty despicable things in SMG4 videos, there was also a time where Depresso actually wasn't so hated too. He was introduced to the channel earlier on as more of a sad character people had pity for. In SMG4 Clown Fever, he was shown crying after getting brutally dumped and later humiliated by his girlfriend. But after this string of events is when things changed for Depresso as a character. After having a sort of breakdown, people would change their attitudes towards Depresso as he would appear in later videos as needlessly problematic. Later on in SMG4, Nintendo has claimed this video, Depresso's entire role in the video was essentially being a creepy weirdo towards Psycho for no reason. And with this trend continuing even further with Depresso being weird on dating sites and causing more problems just because he felt like it, SMG4 fans began to have problems with him. Depresso could get hit by a train and I'd laugh. He went from being a kinda sad loser in his debut, and you could actually feel a little bad for him, to just being gross and unpleasant. And while this change Depresso went through ended in the worst possible way for him, there was an opposite change that occurred in the case of Axel. As before he would go on to achieve greatness in the SMG4 universe, it was documented that he was originally supposed to be a villain character instead of the ally to the SMG4 crew that we know him as today. The channel owners Luke and Kevin revealed how Axel was first set up to take over the world with his anime army after lifting the big SMG4 anime ban that was put into place in SMG4 Mario's illegal operation. But the truth behind his character is why he ended up being so loved by fans instead. You see, Axel was brought into the SMG4 universe as a famous, universally adored artist in SMG4 The Japan Trip. And even with this widely recognized status, he still shows a humble and friendly side to himself to the other characters, with an SMG4 fan pointing out how when Bobu-san shows Psycho to Axel, he's still interested to learn and grow his art. Even with his high status, he knows he isn't perfect, and that's good. And Axel's development as a character only got better from there, as he would later show perseverance in key adventures despite facing immense hardships, like what we saw in the internet graveyard. He even had one of the saddest deaths in SMG4 history, as after Axel was possessed by Niles, one of the series' villains, the same girl Axel had a crush on throughout multiple videos was forced to destroy him in order to save the universe. And while Axel was a universally appreciated part of SMG4's anime arc, Francis was the exact opposite. As far as SMG4 villains go, there was something different about Francis. Ever since his first appearance, fans were quick to point out how his cruelty as a villain was very extreme, as he went on to commit some of the worst offenses in SMG4 history, capturing the Inklings as well as being responsible for Desti's death in SMG4 Final Hours. But it turns out there was more to this hatred for Francis as a villain specifically. Fans pointed out how the general reaction to Francis committing horrible crimes was a lot worse compared to when Psycho or Waluigi committed crimes. Something that was actually given an explanation by the channel owner Luke. Apparently, he told us earlier on that Francis was created specifically to be despised because his face was incredibly punchable, and there was no intention for the audience to like him in the first place. But despite Francis being created as a hateable villain, Bob was a more complicated story, with him now considered as one of the all-time favorites. It turns out the start of his character arc on the SMG4 channel portrayed him in a different light. In SMG4 The Mario Concert, Bob was actually more of a selfish character, showing that his need for more money and fame as a rapper was all that mattered to him. The love from SMG4 fans would only start to happen after Bob's redemption arc in SMG4 Christmas 2018, as after Waluigi finally set Bob on the right path, causing him to ditch his old selfish nature, his value as a character started to finally shine through. You see, there wasn't a single event or video video that set Bob apart as special, rather what SMG4 fans described as the fact that as years of SMG4 content has gone on, Bob has stayed the same consistent factor, with his unchanging great humor and personality continuing through the entirety of the remaining SMG4 videos. This is why he's so loved. We're told how with SMG4 changing into a more grounded show with more serious elements and characters, Bob became a figure of what was lost in this transition. And while Bob's loved personality stayed consistent following his redemption, this next character never received a redemption at all. Starman 3 was a character whose story stuck out as unique from all of the others. You see, with his earlier introductions into the SMG4 videos, he was a relatively liked character. He was a main ally to SMG4 and Mario, who seemed like one of the more sensible ones of the main group. And what eventually led to his perception changing in the eyes of the people actually had nothing to do with the SMG4 videos at all. In real life, the YouTuber represented by Starman 3 would face some serious accusations involving alleged actions he did in real life. Actions that would call for the removal of his character entirely from future SMG4 videos, along with the support he had from fans at the time. And while the story of Starman 3 didn't have the best ending, the same can't be said for SMG3. You see, SMG3 was one of the most complex characters, complex enough to categorize him as different from all the others. SMG3 was first introduced to us as the main antagonist of the classic era for SMG4 content. In the Super Mario 64 blooper videos, who set up to be the hated villain whose central role was being jealous of SMG4's success. As in examples including SMG3's plan to destroy SMG4 because he felt like it, we were shown SMG3's various attempts at ending the main cast in ways that made him seem unredeemable as a character. Actions that would originally categorize him as not the best, that is, until something changed. You see, in his Revelations character arc, SMG3 ended up being forced to help SMG4 and the main crew for a change, as they had to be united in order to save the SMG4 universe from eldritch SMG0. And with this, fans were able to see a side to SMG3 they'd never seen previously. After sacrificing his friend Terrence in the big SMG4 Revelations movie, SMG3 would continue to slowly show more and more changes in his morals, with a full video even being made to highlight the end of his old evil ways. SMG3 had successfully transitioned into an ally character, and he was also loved for it. The main difference that set him apart was, as we were told, his character arc was smooth and wasn't rushed compared to some of the others. That arc gave him massive character growth from wanting to kill SMG4 to literally saving him and his friends many times. And despite SMG3 experiencing a massive change, there was another loved character who was a lot more consistent. SMG4. JK, it's Mario. While SMG4 as a character has received his fair share of backlash in more recent videos compared to his past, Mario's unwavering wackiness made him an easy fan favorite out of the main cast members, with popular examples of this being displayed, including what we saw in SMG4 Mario screws in a light bulb. It was no wonder many SMG4 fans consider him their favorite character of all. But for every loved and hated character, there's also a forgotten one. It turns out there was actually multiple SMG4 characters given a big build-up in earlier videos, only to end up never returning on the channel again. Characters we all forgot about, but who are these mysterious characters in the first place? Well, it turns out I was able to put together the truth behind all of them into this video right here. So for what we know about this big mystery in the SMG4 universe, make sure to check it out.